Secretary of State Antony Blinken pledged to rush assistance to Ukraine in the Biden administration's final months. The nation's top diplomat made the comments during a visit to NATO's headquarters today, where he met with European officials.
Make it rain.
With President-elect Donald Trump soon to step in, it seems like Biden's team is moving full speed ahead to get all the funding out the door while they still can. But this leaves us asking ourselves, is this really the best move?
As we're working to make sure that Ukraine has what it needs to effectively defend itself, the United States continues to step up. We've obligated just recently and pushed out the door another $8 billion in security assistance for Ukraine. That was in September. Another almost $500 million just a few weeks ago. And President Biden is committed to making sure that every dollar we have at our disposal will be pushed out the door between now and January 20th.
Now, let's put this into context. Since 2014, when Russia first annexed Crimea, the U.S. has been backing Ukraine, offering billions in military, economic, and humanitarian aid. But under Biden, this support has hit new highs, especially with the Russian invasion in 2022. The U.S. has essentially become Ukraine's biggest backer in this conflict. And now, with months left, Biden's team is doing whatever they can to funnel more aid over, even though many Americans are starting to question the price tag. In April, Biden signed a massive $95 billion aid package, which includes help for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. But here's where it starts to get a bit questionable. With Trump coming in, a president who's openly questioned the amount of U.S. money going to Ukraine, Biden's team is pushing harder than ever to get another $6 billion in military aid out before January. They're pulling from the Pentagon stockpiles, relying on emergency contracts with defense companies, and frankly, it's a huge logistical challenge. Why? Because shipping heavy-duty weaponry and military supplies isn't exactly quick or easy, especially when these resources are coming out of our own stockpiles. And this is where the question really hits home. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has been clear that they are trying to get as much as possible to Ukraine before Trump takes office.
The purpose of this visit is to focus our efforts on ensuring that Ukraine has the money, the munitions, and the mobilized forces to fight effectively in 2025, or to be able to negotiate a peace from a position of strength. President Biden is committed to making sure that every dollar we have at our disposal will be pushed out the door between now and January 20th.
But let's not forget, every dollar spent here is a dollar not spent on problems back home. With all this money flowing overseas, it's hard not to wonder if we're ignoring priorities here in the U.S. Are we really in a position to spend billions more on foreign war while facing our own issues? I don't know. Trump's stance on this has been consistent. He's questioned the need for endless U.S. spending in Ukraine, especially when European allies could arguably be doing more. And he's even suggested that he wants to bring a quick end to the conflict, which could mean something different from what Biden and his team have in mind. Trump's point is that the American taxpayers' dollars should not be endlessly propping up foreign conflicts, particularly when the country faces real challenges right here, right now. And while he hasn't yet detailed his approach, the Biden administration's rush to spend as much as possible before he steps in shows that they know that they are likely to be a significant shift in priorities. We're already seeing hints of these changes in Trump's new administration lineup. For instance, he's bringing in Representative Michael Waltz, a former Green Beret, as his national security advisor. Waltz is known for a more conservative stance on the U.S. military spending and has been particularly focused on competition with China. His perspective on Russia and Ukraine is likely to be cautious, raising even more questions about whether this frantic push for aid right now is necessary or even appropriate. Meanwhile, Ukraine's leaders are, of course, hoping that this wave of support will be enough to hold their ground. They've had talks with the U.S. about expanding their military strategy, potentially even striking deeper into Russian territory. But here's the reality. While Biden's administration is eager to push this aid through, there's been understandable hesitation among NATO allies about escalating this situation. Ukraine's NATO membership also remains uncertain, and Biden's rush to cement U.S. support for Ukraine is, at best, a short-term strategy with long-term risks. One recent change from Biden's team also raises eyebrows. They lifted a ban that previously kept U.S. defense contractors from working directly in Ukraine to repair American-provided weapons. This means more Patriot missiles and fighter jets might be maintained in-country, keeping Ukraine's defenses stronger without waiting for outside repairs. But at what cost to the U.S. resources and readiness? It's yet another sign of how determined this administration is to funnel as much support as possible, no matter the cost. So here's the big picture. The Biden administration is racing to spend billions of taxpayer dollars on Ukraine before Trump takes office, locking in commitments that could tie the hands of the incoming administration. Trump's views on spending more money abroad are no secret. He believes American resources should be directed back home, especially when we're stretched thin. So is this rush to send every dollar possible out the door really the right move? Shouldn't we be asking ourselves if there are other priorities right here that deserve this kind of funding and attention? You tell me. Stay alert, stay informed, and as always, folks, question everything. We will see you on the next one.